All right, that was as strong a warning for the British Embassy in the United States as you could get, maybe mimicking what President Biden's supposed warning to the Chinese leader was in that 2-hour back and forth they had yesterday. Precious few details coming out of what came of that conversation, but the message from Ambassador Pierce and others when it comes to China militarily helping Vladimir Putin, don't even think about it. Lieutenant Colonel Bob Maginnis with us right now, author of the bestseller Alliance of Evil, and so he's an expert on some nefarious characters getting together. Colonel, it seems that the Chinese are being deliberately coy, if not outright vague. Economic help is another matter, but do you think they hold off on military help?
Well, Neil, for a long time, the Chinese and Russians have been collaborating not only in exchanging of technology on military hardware, but also exercises both at sea, in the air, and on the ground. So, nothing is of surprise here. Now, I don't think President Xi, at this particular delicate time, is going to do overt actions that would suggest to the West that he too should be sanctioned. And the reason why is really behind the veil. What's going on, of course, Xi faces the opportunity of a third term, making him a Mao Zedong type of person in the Chinese Communist Party. But the long knives are behind him, and they're threatening if he doesn't keep the economy growing, the economy at least not failing, which is a real problem, then he won't get that third term. So it's pretty clear from those that are behind the scenes in the Communist Party in China, they will pull that plug on him. So he's being very careful. He will not cozy up any more than he already has at this point with Vladimir Putin. Now, keep in mind, Neil, on the 4th of February, they signed a joint communique, 5,400 words, that laid out that nothing is barred from their relationship. So we are in what I call an alliance of evil.
So, Colonel, having said all of that, and the difficulties that Vladimir Putin seems to be having in Ukraine, could it be possible that Xi Jinping is embarrassed and that the association with Putin is looking like, he's in bed with someone who's, horrific and doesn't want to be associated with that? Could he dial it back on that level alone?
Yeah, Xi's a Marxist Leninist. I don't think he's embarrassed by another authoritarian. Now, he doesn't like all the publicity, that does hurt him in some of his training or trade engagements around the world. But, when they get together away from the spotlight, they're likely getting along famously. KGB, Marxist Leninists, they get along. We just need to recognize in the West that they don't think like us. Much more, very similar to the time when I was in the Cold War, facing Vladimir Putin across the no man's land, which was mined and guarded, and people were shot routinely. We need to recognize who we're dealing with here.
Colonel, you have to really watch the actions more than the words, I guess, or listen to the words. And in just mere hours before he was to get on the phone and talk to President Biden, a Chinese warship was just off the coast of Taiwan. So are they signaling something? Would they dare entertain any action, aggressive action against Taiwan in the middle of all of this?
Well, perhaps not in the middle of all this. I wrote for Fox News back in November that this was going to happen, what we've seen with Ukraine. But the reality is with Xi, you need to go back in history. Xi has said at the 100th anniversary this past June of the of the PRC, People's Republic of China, that he really resonates with the Qing dynasty, the last one that ended in 1912, and also the Manchus that led. Now, what they did is something that you need to take close attention to. The Qing dynasty, expanded the borders of then China and was very aggressive with its neighbors. President Xi has every intention, in every public statement he makes, to bring Taiwan either to heel, to bow, or back into the fold. He will not allow them to be what they are. Now, is he going to do that this year or next year? I don't know, but his own longevity in office is tied to that. Just read, President Xi's thoughts. It's very clear in his own writings, his own speeches, and his own propaganda that the man has every intention of doing to Taiwan what Putin is doing to Ukraine.
Wow. Colonel, thank you, I think. Following all those developments, speaking of which, as we're wrapping up here with the Colonel, the Chinese might be fine, searching around that neighborhood around Taiwan, but it really doesn't appreciate our doing so. Just letting you know here that this move on the part of the USS Destroyer, Ralph Johnson, sailed through the Taiwan Strait, was not greeted favorably by the Chinese. Of course, this happened back on the 17th. They say such an act was very dangerous and pointed out that Taiwan is the most sensitive and important issue in its relations with the U.S. Washington has no formal diplomatic relations with Taipei, but Taiwan is the most important international backer and arms supplier. President Xi then told his U.S. counterpart, Joe Biden, on Friday about this issue and that it has to be handled properly to avoid any impact on Sino-U.S. relations, as if they haven't been affected already.